Good morning, everyone. Today we are going to start lecture number 7.3. It would be subdivided into different parts. And in 7.3, in the first part, we are going to learn how to measure grinding temperature. Already, for a very simple case of dry grinding with conventional vitrified wheel, alumina and silicon carbide, we know how to estimate grinding temperature. So in this lecture we will try to cover how to measure grinding temperature and what are the challenges. So this is the typical distribution of grinding temperature. So this is your workpiece. Your grinding wheel is somewhere over here and this side has not been ground, this side has been ground. So it is going in this particular direction, and this is the temperature distribution within the grinding wheel. This particular color, if I remember correctly, is 100 degrees centigrade, and possibly this particular color, which is yellowish color, is 500 degrees centigrade. This distance is around a millimeter. So that this tells you that in the depth direction, this is the depth direction of the workpiece. So if I draw the workpiece here, so this is the depth direction, and this is the in this particular, however VW is in this direction, this is your grinding wheel. So this is the depth direction. The temperature is changing along the depth direction quite drastically, and this is reflected here. This is the temperature versus depth. So this is your temperature versus depth. So this is temperature axis, this axis is temperature axis, and this axis is depth axis. In this, the measured temperature is around 700 plus degrees centigrade. That is the rise in temperature, and it becomes almost ambient temperature at a distance of around 1.4 millimeter. So within 1.4 millimeter, there is no signature of grinding. Grinding temperature is very high. Not only that, the variation of grinding temperature with respect to z direction, that is the gradient of space gradient of temperature, is also very, very high. If you look at the temperature distribution on the surface, so now we are on the surface, we are looking at the surface. On the unground side, it is at ambient temperature. This is the maximum temperature. So this 750, this is coming from some other diagram. This is coming from some other diagram. So possibly this is a bit higher. It is 800 plus degrees centigrade. So this is the maximum temperature, and the temperature is not constant on the grinding zone. From this particular place to this particular place, grinding temperature is not constant. It is varying. And the ground side of temperature, it is of this nature. This is for steel. If you are grinding something else whose thermal conductivity of the job is different, say for example titanium 64, this would be the nature. So this is what I would like to say. So what are the challenges? If you have to measure temperature, then your sensor cannot be here. It cannot be at a distance of 2 millimeter. Your temperature sensor with what you are measuring has to be very much near the ground surface. If it is not near the ground surface, then the effect of grinding temperature will not come. So that is the most important thing. Now there are different ways of measuring temperature. This particular method that we are going to learn is called embedded thermocouple technique. So this is the embedded thermocouple. For clarity, here only one particular wire has been shown, which is not the case. So this is your grinding wheel, this is rotating in this direction, this is your VW. So this is a case of down grinding, it doesn't matter. This is your your temperature sensor. This is your temperature sensor, which is a standard thermocouple. As because it is a standard thermocouple, multiple calibrations are not required. As it is a standard thermocouple, the calibration factor and the calibration curve would be provided. This is the ground surface. This is the ground surface. The thermocouple is bit away from the ground surface. As you can see, a hole is created. Typically, workpieces are hardened. So these holes are created either by drilling operation or by electro discharge machining drilling or normal drilling, depending on whether you have solid carbide drills available with you. So it has to be a long narrow drill, and within that the thermocouple is embedded. And then there are two leads of the thermocouple that you connect either to a millivolt meter so that the thermo EMF can be directly read, or you can connect it to a oscilloscope where the temperature profile can be directly displayed. The way the temperature profile was displayed here, in the same way temperature profile at that particular point would be displayed. But what has to be understood is that you are not measuring grinding temperature, you are measuring at a distance. How to solve that problem, that we will come to. This is the actual hole that has been shown. So this is your hole that has been shown here. A micro hole has been created, and then a standard thermocouple bead has been put in place, and this is well insulated from the workpiece material, thermally and electrically. And here once again the same thing has been shown schematically. So this is thermal and electrical insulation. This is the epoxy resin with which it is put in place, and the ground surface is somewhere over here. So it is at a distance at this particular moment at least at 2 millimeter or 1.5 millimeter. That means at this distance, if you measure temperature, it would be a failure. How to solve it? We will look at it. As you can see, this is the Z value. That means gradually the Z is being decreased, and this is the temperature profile at Z equal to 0.3. This is the temperature profile at Z equal to 0.2. This is the temperature signature coming from the from your thermocouple at that particular value. So what happens? This is your thermocouple, and gradually you remove layer after layer of work material, where each layer is removed at a specified downfeed. Maybe that is 20 micron. I am not saying, that depends on at what value you are doing experiment. And this distance is Z, and this is the first reading, this is the second reading, this is the third reading, this is the fourth reading, this is the fifth reading, this is the sixth reading. In this way you go on taking readings, and then you fit a graph. So this was the first pass, this was the second pass, this was fourth, this was sixth, this was eighth. So as number of passes were coming down, this value of Z was becoming less and less. So your measurement was more towards the surface. Now, can you not do at Z equal to 0? If you do it at Z equal to 0, then you lose your thermocouple. So if you have enough financial resource and you can sacrifice thermocouple one after another, then there is no problem. But typically that is not done. Experiment is stopped so that the thermocouple is not damaged, and then it is extrapolated. And once you are extrapolating, you get the value of theta, which is the grinding temperature. And this grinding temperature is the grinding temperature on the workpiece surface, and this is determined by extrapolation. So what is the advantage of this particular process? The advantage is that you are using a standard thermocouple. Because you are using a standard thermocouple, no calibration is required. What is the problem? You have to prepare such a workpiece with a hole for each and every measurement. If you are carrying out 50 or 30 or 40 number of experiments, you require such workpieces. So it requires lot of resource availability at your disposal, because making a hole which is of this diameter, which is very less, it is less than a 1 millimeter, and which is rather deep, by micro EDM or by using a solid carbide drill of 1 millimeter or 0.8 millimeter diameter is not a joke in a hardened workpiece. So preparation of the workpiece for experiment is takes a lot of resource. It is resource intensive, but once you do that, then getting steady, reliable, repeatable data is very useful. Now we are going for some technique which is called dynamic thermocouple technique, and this is single pole. This was implemented long back in our laboratory for measurement of grinding temperature. So this was steel, this is your work material, this is a constant and wear, and we machined a wear EDM slot. So with a wear EDM we machined the slot, then we gave a shape to this constant and wear in this particular way, and then embedded that constant and wear using resin and some kind of cement. Cement is nothing but resin. We are using the resin so that there is insulation between the constant and wear and steel. There is no short circuit. Only during measurement, during chip formation, constant and wear would also form chip, and here a hot junction would occur. This is very near the grinding zone or on the grinding zone, so that grinding zone temperature can be measured. When this technique can be applied? When your workpiece is electrically conductive, then only this particular technique can be applied. Second thing is that your workpiece material and the thermocouple material, the single pole thermocouple, they should form or they should generate high enough millivolt or thermo EMF so that it can be measured repeatably and reliably. If it is generating a very feeble thermo EMF, then this technique cannot be used. If you are grinding, say for example, aluminum oxide or silicon nitride or ceramics or carbides which are not electrically conductive, then this particular method cannot be applied. Even if they are electrically conductive but they do not generate high enough thermo EMF to be measured reliably, then also this method cannot be applied. But what is the beauty of this method? If you can prepare a particular workpiece, then multiple readings can be taken in that particular workpiece. Say for example, if the distance between the center of this rod, bent portion to this portion, if it is say 10 millimeter, then hundreds of readings can be taken, because if you give 20 micron into 20 passes, you consume only 0.4 millimeter of depth. Okay, so hundreds of trials can be done in a single workpiece. You need not have to prepare a separate workpiece for each trial, and this provides dynamically, this forms dynamic thermocouple, or dynamically it forms the thermocouple as it has been shown here. So it directly provides you the temperature or thermo EMF. What is the catch? Catch is, for this particular experiment, the work material was steel and the wear was constant. So iron constant, there is a standard thermocouple, so you do not require calibration. Otherwise you have to calibrate it, and calibration once again takes huge amount of effort. Now let us look at the measured temperature. So this is the actual measured grinding temperature in flange surface grinding. This was at a in feed. At that time, in feed was used at a down feed of 20 micron, and the environment was dry. However, this method can also be applied when you are applying coolant lubrication. As you can see, the maximum temperature is around 800 degrees centigrade, and this was measured in 1990, first part of 1990, so 1990 to 1995, during that time in our laboratory. So this was developed and implemented, and measurements were taken in our laboratory. So this is dynamic thermocouple technique. Single pole. Single pole means there is only one component which is of thermocouple material, the other one is the workpiece material itself. So between the workpiece material and the thermocouple material, the hot junction forms. The workpiece and thermocouple, they are insulated from one another, and the workpiece is also electrically insulated from the rest of the ground surface by mica sheets or Teflon tape or something like that. In our case, when we implemented in our laboratory, it was mica sheets. Now, this is a very nice illustration. This is an improvement. In 1990s, we have used constant and wear because we were not having foils. This is a foil. This is a foil. This could be constant and foil, and as you can see, this foil is only 5 micron in thickness. These are mica sheets, and here by EDM you cut a groove. So if I enlarge it, it is something like this. You cut a groove, in that a mica sheet comes in, then a thermocouple pole comes in, then another mica sheets comes in. So this is thermocouple, maybe constant, and this is steel. These are electrically insulated. This is one of the lead. The other lead comes out of the workpiece, and then you give it to the digital oscilloscope, and you get nice plots like this. And if you look from the top under scanning electron microscope or optically, you can see this is your steel, this is your steel, these dark ones are your mica sheets, and this is your one pole of the thermocouple. So if you are interested in measuring temperature of steel grinding, then this can be very well constant, and you have to measure the thermo EMF generated between this one and this one. Initially there is no short circuit. During grinding, a part of the chip would be formed here, and there would be a thermocouple formed, or dynamic thermocouple or hot junction would be formed, and you would be able to measure temperature. So this was done using a constant and wear at IIT Kharagpur, and this was done with alumina wheel. This was at down feed of 20 micron. This was dry. If you see here, this is a EN31 steel. This is also alumina wheel. This is also steel. This is work material is also steel. Here, as you can see, this is around 20 millisecond. This is around 60 millisecond. This is 16 millisecond because this is higher. 0.2 meter per second is around 12 meter per minute. If I remember correctly, this was at 4 to 6. I do not remember, but it is in that range. It is slower, so the temperature is resident for longer period of time. This was done at a much later stage, and you have a nice profile of measured temperature like this, which by the way matches very nicely with the temperature profile that I have shown. These are computed profile. This particular profile is a computed profile. So this computed profile matches nicely with the actual measured temperature that is shown here, or it is shown here as well as it is shown here. This is not coming from IIT Kharagpur, this is coming from somewhere else. Because of shortage of time, I could not identify all of them. Now comes another technique which is also dynamic thermocouple technique. This also provides grinding zone temperature, and this can be done if the work material is not electrically conductive. This is the first point. Or if the work material does not produce or generate enough thermo EMF. So the principle of measurement is thermo EMF. What do you have here? You have workpiece, this side of the workpiece, you have a slot machined by wear EDM, you have a mica sheet, and in between you have two different thermocouple materials. You have two lips or two foils. So this could be steel or iron, this could be Constantan, or it could be any other thermocouple. Those are embedded. So if you are grinding, say, aluminum oxide or some other ceramic or some other material which doesn't produce thermo EMF or not electrically conductive, then what would happen? During grinding, this one and this one will form a thermo EMF, or they will form a connection, and that way you would be able to measure temperature. So this is called dynamic thermocouple technique, but this is two pole. That means there are two poles here, two poles of thermocouple which are being used to measure the grinding temperature. There are other methods of grinding temperature that I'll mention here. Say for example, implementation or use of IR camera technique or IR optical fiber technique. These are very popular. They have been mainly developed and implemented by Japanese researchers, but in the industry or in the academic research or industrial research, if temperature has to be measured, embedded or dynamic thermocouple technique is used quite often. But despite that, IR technique of measurement of temperature is also there in grinding. Now this is a new technique. Before I forget, possibly this has come from John Moore, Liverpool University. So this diagram has come from that particular university. It is in Liverpool, England or UK. So this is another technique which has been developed by Germans. So what they have done is that this is your grinding material. This is your grinding wheel material. And here you have embedded sensors. You have embedded sensors one after another. So this is the sensor. These are the different materials. This is isolation, nickel, aluminum, nickel chromide, and this is the substrate of the sensor, and they are embedded within the grinding wheel. Now you might say the grinding wheel is rotated at 3000 RPM. So how the temperature would be measured? Because it is continuously rotating. So there is a telematic transmitter. That means there is a wireless transmitter between these sensors and the telematic receiver. So it is measured and it is received by this. This is static. This is not mounted on the grinding wheel. So whenever the sensors are passing over this telemetry system, they transfer the data and then the data is displayed. This is an example of how the temperature has been measured. This one is tangential force, this is normal force, this is rough grinding. So as the rough grinding is going on, This red one is the temperature. Temperature is gradually increasing. Then the fine grinding comes, forces go down, temperature also goes down. This temperature which is being measured in the grinding zone temperature. Then finish grinding is taking place. Forces are going down further, temperature is going down further. This is the spark out phase of our grinding cycle, and temperature goes down further. So this can not only measure temperature, it can monitor it. I will give you an example between measuring and monitoring. If you let us say you never have blood pressure, but if you are having high blood pressure problem, or if any of your relative is having high blood pressure problem, you go to a doctor or a local medicine shop, and they will measure your blood pressure once in a week, once in 2 weeks. But if someone is having a requirement that his blood pressure, blood sugar, they are to be continuously monitored. So this is the difference. Continuously measuring it is monitoring. So this particular technique which is described here, using this technique you can continuously monitor the grinding temperature without doing any kind of embedding of sensor within the workpiece. So workpiece comes and goes, but you can continue to monitor the grinding temperature during the grinding cycle. So that's it for today's part 1 lecture. With that, we end today's part 1 lecture, where I have covered different measurement techniques which are essential. In the earlier lecture, we have learned how to estimate temperature. Estimation of temperature by analytical technique or finite element technique is very essential. But at the same time, for validation, measurement of grinding temperature is also very, very essential. And where is the challenge? For understanding the challenge, we have to go to the very first slide that I have shown. Grinding temperature becomes almost ambient within a very small distance of 1 millimeter or half a millimeter. So the sensor that you are using for measuring the grinding temperature has to be very near to the surface. For that, you have this embedded thermocouple technique, or you have this dynamic thermocouple technique. The advantage of dynamic thermocouple technique is that you can measure in each and every pass, and the same workpiece can be used for multiple number of experiment. Thank you so much for the first part of the lecture. I will come back very soon.